What is up, everybody? Welcome here to PCP Movie Night on Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm your host, Rockin' Robbie Bills. This is the show where we gather every Monday night to talk about the movie of the week. And we just kicked off recently Crew's Choice. But in particular, we're doing a mini fest within the fest that is Crew's Choice called Anime. That's right. We're going to be talking about anime films, I should say, all throughout May. We've already done Akira, my pick. We did Hammer Time, Whole Shoes pick, Your Name. Tonight we're doing Brooks's pick, Princess Mononoke, which is directed by Hayao Miyazaki. This was the first film of his that I had seen. And obviously I think arguably it's the most famous studio out of Japan, is what I would say. But it's Brooks's pick. So let's bring in the panel, kicking off with Brooks. What's up, man?
What's up?
What a great movie. Yet a safe pick to pick for Crew's Choice Anime, the inaugural anime. But then again, I'm the one who picked Akira. So
yeah, well, I mean, this movie was like when it first came out, it was like huge. I remember like everybody was talking about this movie, and like it's the only Miyazaki movie I've actually watched and owned. So like
really,
yeah, surprisingly, like I know like I've
you
wanted to
haven't
see
even
his
seen
stuff,
Spirited Away, for instance.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Kiki's Delivery Service, none of them. But
wow.
I plan to get around to it.
So I'm more the Miyazaki expert than you, because I've seen Spirited Away, I've seen Nausicaa, I've seen this one, and I think that's it. I bet we got some more experts here on the panel tonight, man.
I would imagine so.
I imagine so. And we're going to kick off those experts with Jelani. What is up? The better half of Go Figure Reviews, one might say.
Dang, thank you, sir. Anyway, welcome. Hey, station. Why are you trying to bring a rift between us? There is no rift. We are
because I'm trying to form a new faction, and I want to split the PCP Excitable crew.
Fair enough. Sounds like a heel move to do. Well done. Yeah, I'm a booker. All right. So yeah, happy to be here. Prince Mononoke is a classic. I forgot it was in '97. I mean, this was like peak Jelani at movie theater. So I've seen this more than once. It was gorgeous. So we're going to talk about it more, but yeah, I love this film. It's good times, and I can't wait to talk about it with you fellers.
Hell yeah. We're also going to be talking about it with the man, the myth, the legend from one collection down. It's Fable. What is up, my man?
Station. What's going on, guys? It is pretty famous, but you're forgetting Toho, Toei Animation. There's a lot of studios in Japan that are famous and been around a lot longer, but Ghibli's one of the best for sure, and I can't wait to talk about this one. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. We also got joining us our resident anime expert here at PCP. It's John Hammertime Whole Shoe. What is up, my man?
Not much, man. Happy to be here. I was going to say, Toho doesn't really make anything these days. They just distribute, unfortunately. They can make stuff. They just, other than Godzilla, they don't make anything. Anyway, I love this movie. Excited to be here. I'm a big Miyazaki fan, and this is probably my favorite film of his. Well, I really do love Howl's Moving Castle. So, I love all his stuff, to be honest with you. But I just love Prince Mononoke. So I'm excited to talk about it with you boys.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Rounding up the panel is the man himself. It's Joe Corallo. What is up, homie?
Hello. Yeah, no, this is a great one. It might be my favorite. I feel like that's most people you talk to them about Miyazaki films. If Princess Mononoke is one of the ones they really like, because there's also some people who are just like, I like Kiki's Delivery Service best because I can't handle things and etc. But like, no, it's one of the easily one of the best ones from him, like hands down. It's incredible. I had this on VHS. Watch it a ton. I watched it earlier this year with the IMAX re-release. That was incredible. So yeah, I felt like this is one of those movies I've seen enough where I was like, do I even need to watch it again before coming on this stream? I did. Don't worry, it's fresh in my mind. But like, even watching it again,
it's kind of part of it. You gotta rewatch it, right? You gotta.
Yeah. No, for sure. But I am more stressing that it is that ingrained in me that like rewatching it even, I'm just like, oh, I remember every little bit of this. So yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So real quick, Grave of Fireflies. I've heard about. I've never seen it. I've never seen that one. I heard that one.
His saddest film. That'll destroy you.
Damn.
Yeah, it's
Sad like that.
All right, so real quick before we get into it, real quick, just one word, English or Japanese? What is the dub? Or like, what did you watch it? I watched it with the English dub. Again, what about you, Brooks?
I watch it in English.
Jelani?
English. I ain't watching Japanese no more.
Fable?
English.
John?
I've seen both, and I will point out I do enjoy the English dub, even though I prefer the Japanese. But it screws me up because, dude, Billy Bob Thornton sounds like Billy Bob Thornton. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, he does.
He's
He
the
looks
only
like
one.
Billy Bob Thornton.
He's the only one that, if I didn't know the rest of the voice cast because I know who was in it, I wouldn't know who they were. I think they did a good job as those characters. But he's like, I'm like, this is Billy Bob.
He stands out, man.
Throws
He
me
really does.
off. I prefer the Japanese, but I've seen both, and I think both are. I think the dub actually on this is pretty darn good. And that's the thing with Miyazaki films is they've done so well in the U.S. that usually they get big names for the dub.
I appreciate that, John. I said one word response.
Oh, sorry, Japanese, Nihongo.
Joe, what about you?
Well, since Whole Shoe blew forever, I can go on too. When I saw it in IMAX, I did Japanese. When I rewatched it this weekend, I went dubbed, so both were kind of familiar. But I've seen both a bunch.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. This was the first Miyazaki film that I had seen, and I remember not hearing about it when it first released. Even though when it first released, it made a big splash. I think when it released in Japan, it became the most successful Japanese film in the box office. That got overtaken by Spirited Away. Your Name's ahead of it right now, which we talked about last week. Titanic beat it shortly after, I believe. That's fucked if you really think about
This
it.
movie's way better than fucking Titanic.
Yeah, I would agree. But
Agreed.
so this was the first one I watched. And I don't think I watched until a few years later because I think I was working at Hollywood Video with Jelani over there, right? We were working at Hollywood Video, and I remember seeing it, but I remember starting to hear about it maybe in like some bullshit like Wizard Magazine or something. And it was because of the name Neil Gaiman, because Neil Gaiman did the translation's the wrong word, but a localized version of it. He did the English writing on this film, right? It was initially offered to Quentin Tarantino, by the way. Could you imagine that fucking movie? But so Neil Gaiman did work on this film, and I remember that garnering my attention. Voice acting at the time, it was Claire Danes and Billy Bob Thornton. She had just come off of Romeo Juliet. He had just been doing Sling Blade, and Billy Bob Thornton was a big deal. And Billy Crudup, I don't think I had really understood who he was yet, because that didn't happen till Almost Famous for me, right? But he does the main character in the English dub. So that's why I was excited about it. It was a Miramax thing. In the 90s, y'all know that I'm all about indie film and anything released and distributed by Miramax. So I remember watching it. I remember really liking it, right? And this was when I had just watched Akira for the first time. I was getting into DBZ and Cowboy Bebop, and I was starting to really get into anime, right? And then I watched Spirited Away when it came out, and then I was done. I haven't watched a Miyazaki film since. Now, my girlfriend, one of her favorite movies is Nausicaa. So I watched that last year for the first time, maybe 2 years ago. And that was a brilliant film too. So I like Miyazaki. He's obviously a very important and popular and integral part of the anime community for most people, right? But I hadn't seen this movie since I first watched it in the Hollywood Video days. We're talking about 1999, 2000, right? It's been like 25 years since I've seen this movie. So I didn't remember shit about it, to be honest with you. I just remember that Billy Bob Thornton was in it, and that he played the little dude on the fucking tiny ass stilts, right? That's what I remembered about the movie. But rewatching it blew my fucking mind even more than it did back then, especially after 2 weeks of watching brilliant anime films. Akira, Your Name, into Princess Mononoke. Brooks, what a great fucking pick. I was enamored throughout. The animation is solid. The voice acting in the English dub, which is the only version I've seen, it's great. The writing, the direction, everything about it, the music, the thematic materials, it's layered. It's got a lot of themes to play with, and I can't wait for that conversation. But man, this movie is, I think, one of the greatest animated films of all time. And I said that I think Akira is the best animated film of all time. But I'll tell you what, Akira is a partially realized vision. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, right? How the manga's more expansive and Akira, the movie's kind of truncated just a little bit. This is a movie that is over 2 hours, doesn't feel like it's over 2 hours, and really takes the time to develop these characters, this community, this world, and this story. So I fucking loved this movie, Brooks. Great pick. What do you think about it overall? Why'd you pick it, man? What's your history?
Yeah, well, like I said, like I remember when this movie came out, it was a big thing everybody was talking about. I remember like in the early days of Hot Topic, like Princess Mononoke merchandise was a big thing back then. But yeah, it was a movie that, like, you know, it had a lot of buzz around it. And, you know, being a guy who was into anime, like I wanted to see it as well. And I remember watching, like, it wasn't exactly what I expected it to be. Like, there was a lot more to it. Like, from what I'd seen of it, I assumed it was kind of like a Japanese version of like a Disney, like a feature animated film kind of. It kind of gave me that kind of vibes. And it kind of is, but it's more than that too. Like, the thing that really struck me about this movie is how cinematic it is. It feels like a movie. Like, for the sound, it sounds like a movie. It looks like a movie. Like, you know, it's structured like, you know, like a feature film. And yeah, so like it's surprising to me that I haven't gotten around to watching more Miyazaki stuff because of how much I ended up loving this movie. But like, I intend to eventually. I need to dig more into this guy's body of work, because, like, you know, this movie is like, it's so, like, I hadn't watched it in a long time too. Like, I think the last time I watched it was like early 2000s. Like, so yeah, like, I didn't remember a whole lot about it. Like, I remembered, like, the only voice actor I remembered was that Scully from the X-Files was the wolf.
Yeah, she's the wolf. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gillian Anderson.
Gillian
Yeah,
Anderson.
I'd forgotten that
Anderson,
Keith David
yeah.
was in there as the boar guy, like Billy Bob Thornton. I'd forgotten all of those guys are in here.
Keith
And he
David.
like is a little bit of a narrator at the very beginning.
Yeah, he has like an opening narration. Like,
Yeah, you got
it's never done again.
you got is it Joe DiMaggio? Who's the guy that
John DiMaggio.
John
John
DiMaggio. There you go.
Yeah. Bender.
Bender.
He's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio's the Yankee. My bad. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So you love
Get
this
your
movie,
wires
Brooks?
crossed.
Has this rewatch inspired you to watch more Miyazaki films?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I like to see some of his more obscure work too. You know, like someone mentioned Porco Rosso. That was like one of the earliest ones. Like, that one sounds pretty interesting. So yeah, like, I think I might dig into a little Miyazaki here pretty soon.
Hell yeah. Jelani joining us here for Anime and Crew's Choice and PCP Movie Night. As always, what did you think about the film, man? What's your history with it? You worked at the theater when the shit was released.
Yeah, I actually worked at the theater. This was out when I was there. I got to see it like multiple times because it was.
Jelani was 32 when that happened, by the way.
That's right. A very young, spry 32, in fact. Yeah, it was pretty good. I really had fun with it the first time I watched it. It was kind of slow at first, and then it like picked up a lot with the boar and the demon. And I was like, "Oh my god, that's disgusting! Oh god!" And I had a problem with that because it reminded me of mice and rats, and I hate them. And then there's a scene in this movie with all the mice running too, and I forgot about that, and that freaked me the fuck out again.
Dude, he's not even kidding. I watched Ratatouille with this motherfucker, and he was freaking out worse than any horror movie we've ever watched together.
Horrible. You can't. Oh, that's why Indiana Jones. Oh god, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, and what was it? Last Crusade. Last Crusade had the rats. Oh, anyway, great movie. And everything you said, Brooks, is true. It looks like a feature film. It looks like it's set up beautifully, theatrically. It's epic. It's spectacle. It's splendor. It's so gorgeous. And there's just the music's fantastic. The story is telling you about, you know, nature and its clash with humanity's will to industrialize. It's so much stuff going on, and they're butting heads. It's a love story, which I love. You know what I'm saying? And it's not one that's almost there. It is a love story. It's there, and you feel the characters. You get everyone. You understand both sides. And you understand the strife of both sides for this film. So I absolutely love it. It is a wonderful tale.
Hell yeah. What about you, Fable, man? What do you think about this movie? What was your experience overall?
I love this kind of movie. This is definitely in my wheelhouse. I love fantasy movies like this, that take place in original worlds like this. I've always kind of been a fan of Ghibli, even though I wasn't aware that they were all Ghibli at the time. You know what I mean? Like Castle in the Sky, Nausicaa, Kiki's Delivery Service, stuff like that. I watched all those movies because my cousin used to be into like anime a lot when I was a kid, before anybody even kind of knew what that shit was. He was putting me onto all this stuff. And like I said, I never made the connection that they were all Ghibli, but when I found out that they were Ghibli, totally made sense. I agree with Brooks. It does have that Disney flair to it, and I think they'll tell you that Disney was a big influence on them. Disney is big in Japan, but with Japanese sensibilities, right? Because you won't see people's heads get decapitated or their arms get ripped off in a Disney film. But
no, those movies would be way more badass if that happened.
But it's Japanese culture, right? Like it's not like a huge deal to them, right? Like
but imagine if Robin Hood the Fox took a dude's head off with an arrow.
Just Prince John right in the eye socket.
I love these kind of adventure films. I love fantasy films, and this is definitely an epic. Takes you away. It brings you to a different world, and it's a lot deeper than what it looks like on the surface, right? Because it's not like the most complicated animated thing, but it's absolutely gorgeous at the same time. So no, this movie was fantastic, and as with most Ghibli films, it stands the test of time because of the love and the artistic quality put into it. So no, this is great, man. Back then and now.
Hell yeah. I just realized there's another Miyazaki film I actually have seen, and it's Howl's Moving Castle. I forgot about that one.
Love it.
During my intro. And it's been a long time. I think I watched it right after I watched this one or something or shortly after, like not too long. Holshoe, tell us what you think about Princess Mononoke.
I love it. Speaking of Howls, jump back. We need to cover that at some point. That's going to be probably my pick next time we do something, because Howls is fantastic. And visually, holy crap. Anyway, jumping back to Princess Mononoke. Fantastic. Great the first time I watched it. Great on the rewatch. It's just beautifully done. Great story. Miyazaki's one of those directors that his stuff's either AAA or slightly below AAA. There's no, he doesn't make bad films. You know what I'm saying? There's just I don't know, man. He usually hits it out of the park, and amazing director in this film. It was great the first time I watched it, and it holds up incredibly well. The story and everything, just animation is phenomenal. I love this movie so much. If you haven't seen it, go out and watch. If you haven't seen any Miyazaki films, you could start with this one. You wouldn't be disappointed. But
yeah, this one's on Max. Are most of them on Max right now?
Yeah, they have a deal with Max, and most of the Studio Ghibli stuff is on Max.
Hell yeah. Joe, what about you, man? I know you saw it in the IMAX. I'm very jealous of that because I bet that looked gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it was incredible. Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, no, it's a really great movie. But yeah, I've been into Miyazaki for a while. The first one I saw in theaters was Spirited Away, but during that first run. But I had been a fan before that. I had owned the VHS of this, before Spirited Away came out, I think. But yeah, and what was it? Big fan of Nausicaa too. Have that big.
Oh, nice.
I gave that to my girlfriend for. I gave that to my girlfriend for Christmas because that's like her favorite thing. Is that, and
It's really good.
it's a great movie. Brooks, that's one of the next ones I think you should watch. It's Nausicaa.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I got to see that on the big screen before. My Neighbor Totoro. The IFC Center here, like every year does like a Ghibli fest. So yeah, it's been great. Obviously, saw The Boy and the Heron when that came out as well. Really love this stuff. This is the like accessible anime sort of stuff. Like there are going to be people that you're not going to get to sit down and watch Akira that will sit down and watch My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Howl's Moving Castle, movies like that, Castle in the Sky, for sure. Or The Boy and the Heron. Like these, Spirited Away, I think is easily one of the most accessible. Like if you like Disney movies, it has that like sort of updated fairy tale kind of quality to it. I think they do great stuff. I think it's very similar, like people were mentioning, to Disney, in that vein. I think it's a sort of a great way to show people sort of how theatrical animation can be, but specifically with something like Mononoke, what stands out to me with this movie, that it's not necessarily that it makes it better than his other films, but it is like the most visceral, the most violent, the most sort of direct in that way. And none of his other movies really do that, which make this one, I think, stand out in a way that like, makes this one, sort of special for me. And
would be a good word, right? It feels more
urgent.
urgent.
It feels more urgent, and also, especially after watching this so shortly after Akira, it's a lot like Akira. Like a lot of the movie, not the manga, but if you're looking at the movie specifically, like the story beats, these two people that just are not gelling, what technology does to the world, all the way down to that final scene of, the whole bit, sort of at the end where everything goes crazy and there's death and destruction and grossness. It's very similar. It's really interesting how similar both of those movies are, and a lot of the themes overlap. You could even like parallel, you could kind of parallel like Minnie Driver's character in the dub to, some of the authority figures in Akira as well. Like it's really interesting how close a lot of them are in a way, and it makes you kind of wonder if there was some level of intentionality to it, because this movie is only a little longer than Akira, and both movies kind of start with a bang and get right to it, where it's just like the board does its thing in the beginning and curses him, and you have a character who's basically cursed in the beginning of Akira. Like and the curse gives him fucked up powers that he can't quite control. Like it's interesting how close they are.
It's like, what if Tetsuo became a hero? Like, what if he went on a hero's journey instead of descent into villainy and madness? And it
kind of is. Like,
I think a lot of Japanese stuff, I think it has to do with their society and their past and stuff like that. A lot of their themes tend to be something about progress versus tradition, right? Because isn't that like what Japan kind of went through? They were sort of in a certain age, and then they became the leader in technology, like almost overnight. And their society changed almost overnight. And I think a lot of that is reflected in a lot of their films. Because even the movie we just saw, Your Name, it has a lot of tradition versus progress in it as well, and also two people from two different worlds kind of thing going on, which I think is a lot of their fiction.
Well, there's even the element where what's the main character is Ashitaka, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name? So, like,
Ashitaka.
So when he gets
Yep.
excommunicated from his village, from his people, they tell
And
him
he
to
does
go
not go
west and never look back. And even that could be saying like Japanese cultures look towards the west, and
Right.
there's that rift. You know,
Exactly.
we see that in a lot of these films, man.
A lot of them, yeah.
A lot of these films, man. And it's something that, I mean, it's just the same thing with American cinema where we can look and be like, this is obviously a post-Vietnam American movie, you know, or a post-9/11 American movie or something like that. Or this was totally 80s because it's about distrust of the government in the Reagan era and shit like that, right? So it makes sense. Totally does. But this movie's got some brilliantly rendered and explored and featured characters. Unlike Akira, I feel like all the main players have their equal parts in this movie. Akira, obviously, a truncated version of a massive epic in manga form. Certain characters just show up as a cameo in Akira, but here you have, this is an original thing, which Akira is a weird thing because it was like, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. But it's weird that it was like being made as a manga and as a movie at times at the same time. That's an interesting position that not a lot of things are in.
It's happened, but like that happened with Sailor Moon, and there are other manga to anime adaptations where it's happened.
Okay, word.
I get what you're saying.
Word. Well, I didn't. Yeah, I'm not. Brooks is my Sailor Moon expert. I always.
No, I wasn't trying to be like, oh, no, I was just, you know.
That's all right, you weeb. It's okay, man. Don't worry about it. It's cool. I don't mind being corrected. But this movie's got some great characters in it that really shine and have important roles. What's a character / performance you want to highlight, Brooks?
Oh, well, like, it's Lady Umboshi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eboshi. Yeah.
Eboshi.
Yeah, the lady who's like in charge of the iron mine.
The Iron Town, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she seems at first like she's just gonna be like, you know, a villainous character, you know, like when I first watched it, like she even has like, you know, she has like a black cloak and like a red. She like I kind of got like Darth Vader vibes off of her, like, you know, from first seeing her. But like, you know, it turns out she's much more complex than that. And she's still like, you know, bad. She's bad in a way, but not the way, you know, that a Disney movie would do it. No, not like just like, oh, she's just bad. She just hates everybody because, you know, she's greedy or whatever. Like there's more to her. Like, you know, she's a person who cares about, like she cares about the people of this town. Like she's not just building the town for like riches. She actually wants to like, you know, make people's lives better. And, you know, you get kind of the feeling that she just likes doing the work, you know. She likes keeping the books, you know. She's just someone who's industrious and wants to, you know, be able to do her own thing. And that's where her conflict with the emperor comes in. But it's like she's fighting two fronts. She's fighting the emperor and nature at the same time. But she makes a choice to like combine her strength with, in my opinion, the wrong side, which was the emperor. But in the end, like, you know, it was kind of like, either way she chose, like, you know, it would have had its drawbacks. So yeah, like, you know, that was what struck me when I first saw this movie. Is like, wow, this is the villain. Like she's kind of the main villain in a way, but like, you know, this movie's kind of too complex for like something as simple as a villain. I'd say the Emperor is actually more of the villain in this movie, even though he's not actually in the movie.
Well, I think the beauty of this movie is there is no real villain, and that's one of the facets of this movie I love.
It is kind of like, you know, like everybody's just struggling in different ways, and so we struggle against, even though, like, you know, it goes against our best interests sometimes. It's like,
you take any character out of this movie, including her, right, and you place the movie in their perspective, they're the good guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Except for the Emperor, who's an asshole. Fuck him.
Brooks doesn't like authority. Of course, she was voiced in the English dub by Minnie Driver, who we know from Grosse Point Blank and, of course, Good Will Hunting. She did a fantastic role, man. Fantastic. What about you, Jelani? What's a character you want to highlight?
Yeah, I'm picking him because he's my favorite. The freaking Jago from Billy Bob Thornton. He is awesome in this movie for some reason. I thought he was so cool at the beginning when he was talking to Ashitaka. You know, just being his friend and learning everything about it. Seeing from his perspective, he needed to get that head away, so he needed to kill the forest spirit, get the head, and run. And I like the way he approaches every situation. He seems like he's just very cunning, and you can tell immediately that he's in charge of everything that he's doing. I'm pretty sure he did the whole guys wear boar skins and their blood and go out there, and it's a tool to help, you know, mask our odor, mask the fact that we're human. I'm like, supreme tracking skills. It's amazing that he runs this little group. That whole little group, they were clean as crap, man. I want a ninja team like that. Man, that's awesome. So yeah, he's my favorite character in this film.
No, he's really good, man. I love him, and it's like Billy Bob stands out, man.
He does.
He does, man. And I love it, and it works, man. What about you, Fable? What's a performance you want to highlight?
Definitely my favorite is the lady for sure. Brooks Zucker. So I mean, this might just go for the English dub only, but I think Akoto, the boar king or whatever he is, the big white boar king.
Yeah, Keith David.
Keith David. I mean, Keith David. He sounds the same in everything he's in, but he just commands voice acting when he's you know, everything he's done is absolutely phenomenal. And I like the character too, that he's an old god, but he's also very stubborn, you know, and he's stuck in his ways. And I absolutely loved it when he thought that his soldiers had come back because he's blind, and he sniffed them, and you know they were wearing the skin, so he's like, my men have come back from the dead, my children or whatever, my soldiers. And I thought that was just so sad. So yeah, no, Keith David as Akoto, I'll highlight that one.
Hell yeah. What about you, Hammer Time? What are you thinking?
I'd probably go with San, which I think is, you know, I hate to take one of the main characters, you know what I'm saying? But she's pretty badass, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't realize till now that she's the youngest sister, right? The two older wolves are the brothers. So that's why she's San, right? That's 3 in Japanese. I'm like, oh, okay, that's so simple that it's just 1, 2, 3. I'm like, but that's also like, oh, I love you enough that I'm just going to give you a number. Like, you're not that important to me. Like, that's
maybe
kind of
to wolves, like numbers are more
shitty.
important.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know about, you know, I've never actually experienced a lot of wolf stuff other than this movie, so I could be wrong.
You've been to Japan, but you haven't been raised by wolves, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I saw that movie with Liam Neeson where he kills a bunch, but that's a different thing. And her character, you feel bad for her character. You understand what she's doing. She can also get to places where the wolves can't. You know what I'm saying? Especially her mom. Like, she's a huge fucking wolf. Jeez, how big are these wolves in like feudal Japan? Holy shit. And yeah, she feel bad for her character, but there's some growth. She learns, you know, all humans are bad, but you sympathize with her character and you feel bad for her character. But you do all these characters, even the bad guys, they're supposedly bad guys. You learn a lot about. There is a lot of character development, so there's a lot of great characters, you know. In because I have one and I have a back one and another backup one because I figured all would be taken before I got. I was surprised that San was available, but yeah, again, and I love her costume too. Is cool as hell.
Oh, it's badass, man, and especially when she's got the blood all over her.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to suck the wound of her mother, right?
Yeah.
What's crazy is that if you take this story and put it through the perspective of Eboshi, San is the villain, right? Like, and it would be justified from the lady's perspective, and that's what I love about this movie and its intricacies and how it's.
There's no real.
It's not a judgmental movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no real good guys or bad guys. It's just a bunch of people trying to protect their interests.
Yeah, and in modern age, she might be like institutionalized. Be like, this girl thinks she's a fucking wolf. She's running around with a knife. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
no shit. She got blood all over her face. What about you? What about you, Joe? What's a character you want to highlight?
I want to highlight Yakul, the red elk.
I was gonna take
great.
I was thinking about him.
He's a fantastic, very fleshed out character. I think one of the best moments in this movie, probably for most people, is when he gets shot by the arrow, and Ashitaka's telling him, you stay, and he refuses to stay to the point where he has to, sort of guide him with him. That's great, and he's just so loyal to Ashitaka, and it's such like a great foil to San's situation, where her mother and brothers there are like, they like work with her, but there's no real like there's no, I don't know, maybe no love's the wrong way to say it, but there's no like tenderness, there's no like, they're very militant, and whereas Ashitaka and Yakul feel more like a family than they do. It's pretty great. But you could also sort of look at it in that, the old way, the new way sort of thing, of like maybe, the way that, the wolves act and treat San is a more traditional, sort of way. And that, Ashitaka and Yakul are sort of going in more of a, maybe a Western way, or a newer way of where there is this like mutual respect, even though they're not the same species, that isn't there with San and her family. Like, they basically are like, my ugly, beautiful daughter, and like all this stuff. Like they're pretty like, they feel more like they're like a military unit and not like
hierarchy.
A family.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy there, yeah.
Whereas
wolf packs are very much like communities, so it's like you need, the respect needs to be like divided more evenly, I would think, because they need to work as a unit.
Yeah, but like Ashitaka and Yakul like feel more like they have mutual respect for each other and look out for each other on an even way that you don't see a lot. Like, even Irontown is very much like, we need Lady Eboshi or this and that, but like, you feel like Ashitaka and Yakul, like they have a mutual respect and understanding and desire to help each other that isn't there with really any of the other groups.
Oh yeah. I got plenty of characters left to choose, and I'm going to choose Moro. Right? Moro, the wolf leader, the mother wolf. She's badass, ferocious, stern, wise, right? There's something about that character I really love. Outside of that, I was prepared to go all the way to the spirit of the forest. Because what an imposing figure.
Oh, yeah.
The night version. And then the day version, I'm like, what the fuck is that? If I saw that thing in real life, I would run the fuck away, dude. I would be so fucking scared of that.
What is that shit?
Yeah, I'd be like,
it's looking at me.
It looks like a human a little bit in the face. Like, what the fuck is going on? I get the fuck up out of there, man. Real quick. Style and structure. Man, the movie looks amazing. The animation, they used a little bit of CG. I think I heard it said that 15 minutes of this movie is CG material. Most of that, though, is very minor things. Like, they were using, for the first time, Miyazaki was using computer-generated effects to go in between key hand-drawn scenes to make the animation look more fluid in certain scenes. In particular, that beginning when you see all the tendrils come out of the boar demon and all that shit. It looks great. I think it's beautifully rendered. It's the camera movement, which is basically the animation, right? But the movement through that is so solid. The figures look amazing. Structure, the story itself is amazing. I think it's very dense. Like, these characters are very rich. This world is very rich. I'm completely engaged and enthralled and compelled the entire time. This movie is the longest of Miyazaki's films, as far as I'm aware. And it doesn't feel like it's 2 hours and like 15 minutes long. It keeps me completely hooked, enamored, and captivated. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the style and structure?
Well, one thing that really strikes me about this movie is like it has like an excellent balance, and like it's got a lot of simplicity, but at the same time, like complexity, like, because like, it doesn't, as far as the characters go, like they're not particularly fleshed out. We don't get a whole lot of backstory on a lot of them, but you still like you're with them in the moment, like in the story, you learn to care about them just through the story. And you don't have to be told, too much about, like, oh, he's even the main guy, like, he's a prince and he gets exiled. His sister is going to miss him. But, Lady Mboshi is like, basically you don't get a backstory about her. And, as far as Princess Mononoke or San, like, it's just like the story of how she became raised by wolves. But like the story, like, is simple in that way. So it can be more complex in other ways, I think. Like it strikes this like really cool balance of like, being this kind of like simplistic fable, but also at the same time, it's like, it's way more than that, because it's got so many aspects to it. There's so many different facets that you can look at it from. So it comes from just like, from being just like, kind of like what you would consider, your typical Disney animated feature type fare, which I think Disney animated features do. They do pretty good, but they have a very formulaic nature to them. This movie seems to break away from that formula. It does something different, which is why I think it like it is so good, because like it's just not what you would expect. Like I remember the first time I watched this, like I did not expect like what I got from it. So it's nice that when a movie can surprise you like that and be like as good as this movie is.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I completely agree. What about you, Delaney? Style and structure, go.
Man, there's a lot to talk about with this film. It's so layered on so many different, I don't know how to explain it, because it tells you so much about what this culture was going through the eyes of just the forest, and from the emperor's perspective, and from this town. It's so much. It's so rich with what it's doing. It looks fantastic, like we've talked about numerous times. It actually gives us a nice like a cross section of what that world would be like during that time. I love the way the night creature is animated. I think that was CG too. He looked gorgeous as he walked through, imposing the antlers were, I don't know, everything about it looked amazing. I was still kind of grossed out by the demon at the beginning of the boar. That still kind of grosses me out. I don't know what it is.
It's a little Cronenbergian,
Yeah, yeah. It was a lot of work going on with me. Like just it's so gross. Just those little worms, and they're coming out, and I'm just, oh no, son, I have an ick. And that's it.
Yeah. The worms are always creepy, man.
It's a very creepy ick. But it looks good. It's to the point where I'm okay with that. I would not want it to be covered in that. Fuck that noise. There is something about just the way it feels. I don't know how to explain that. It's just it's a good feeling film. You don't have to take much from it. The words, everyone speaks with purpose. If you had writers that spoke with purpose, we have an awesome film industry right now. You know what I'm saying? It's you have to like actually tell a story through the words that you say. What you're saying is important, and this movie actually brings that out. I love the writing of this film. It's a spectacle for the eye, a feast for the eyes. It is marvelous in so many different ways that it's crazy that people can't pick up on that and just work with what this is. That's how good this film is.
Hell yeah. What about you, Fable? What do you think about the style and structure?
I totally love the style. Like I said earlier, this is definitely in my wheelhouse. I love fantasy and adventure stories and things like that. And when you go into a world that is alien, but not really alien, it's just really old. right? If that makes any sense, like
It's
it's
a
so
story.
old, it is alien, right? Like when you see the worms and stuff like that, it's just like, wow, this is like crazy. What is this? You know what I mean? Or when you see those little head twisty thingies, those forest spirit guys,
Oh, they gave me the ick too.
they click their heads, or like Robbie said,
Oh,
when you see the spirit, the whatever the forest spirit that looks like an elk or something, and his face is all freaking weird, or giant dire wolves or giant boars, or even like the monkeys, right? Like they had these like monkeys that were like, I don't know, they were like shadow sort
Yeah,
of.
like silhouettes of monkeys or something. Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's be honest. If that damn spirit of the forest showed up and just was staring at you smiling, we'd all get the fuck out of there,
I'd
right?
run. I run like hell.
I don't like
Right.
that.
You hear me, bro?
There's something so creepy, something so alien about it, but also so ancient and so a part of the world. And it's like, I can't, like Jillian said, I can't describe it too well, but I love stuff like that. So the style is fantastic, and uh structure, yeah, I can't complain about it. Me and my short movies, this is over 2 hours, but I was engaged the whole 2 hours through. So you can't take anything out of it. It needs every minute it has. So that's a big testament to it. So yeah, style and structure are fantastic.
Hell yeah. What about you, Hammer Time?
Yeah, style wise, visually, it's just stunning. The story, yeah, you couldn't cut anything out. It doesn't feel like they, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, it was going to be 3 hours. We had to trim it down. No, everything feels like it's done for purpose. It doesn't feel like, I've definitely seen movies I enjoyed, but like, oh, I think they tried to fill in to make it a longer movie because this was the basic premise, or movies that were, felt like they were cut short. Like, oh, they should have gone into this character X or Y. This does not feel like that. It feels like everything has a purpose, and the dialogue is, I don't know, everything's to drive the story forward and flesh out the character. If it's not the story itself, it's to give the characters depth. So it's done really well. It's done with purpose. It's beautifully done. The animation's phenomenal. And this is the second film. We watched Your Name last week, and that had Shintoism. So this has a lot of Shintoism too, which is, important to Japan, but there's a lot of Shinto stuff in this movie. And it makes me appreciate Shintoism when I was there. I appreciate it a lot more, even though it's not my thing. I think it's a beautiful culture, and I understand why it's so important to Japanese history, and it's awesome, really. But even though, again, I'm not into Shintoism, but again, I can appreciate it and the history and the beauty of it and everything, and why they're into that, and how influential it is on this movie, and how much of it wrapped up in this movie. But it's great, man. It's really just, especially this was in '97. Like, it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Not like it's ancient times. It was just.
Yeah, I know, but I compare it to something like Howl's Moving Castle, which is way newer, or his film that just came out in I think it's it's not obviously 80s or 70s or something, but still, I think it looks fantastic in HD for a movie from the 90s. I think also the Blu-ray that did a good transfer and everything. You know what I'm saying? They didn't cut corners. It's a beautiful film.
There's something special about hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this movie is helped by some CG. Something about the hand drawn stuff, man. Feels organic, feels more natural. I don't know. There's something about it.
CG is a great tool, but it should be used in these ways where it's used to enhance,
100%
the art, and rather than it be the focus,
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Joe? What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
Right. Well, first, I just want to point out that, Steph, link in the chat, has had a lot of points he's been wanting to make about the movie. So people check that out. I'm sure, and some points that we haven't made. It would have been, boy, he probably should have been on the panel, huh? Oh, well. So.
It filled up too quick, man. He wanted to be here, man.
No, I believe it. But yeah, no, he's saying some really cool things in the chats. People should check it out. But no, I mean, again, like, it's when you have a movie that's over 2 hours and it doesn't feel like that is really hard to do. There are so many movies some of which that we've watched right here, for Robbie, that are like an hour and a half, and you just want to die.
One House, for example. Yes. I do know that.
But
you passed bringing up motherfucker.
That movie is shit.
But you want, and you're like, yeah, like it's like it doesn't even occur to you that like there's anything to trim or anything like that. And yeah, the structure, it's all really well put together. It's very stylish, but the style, like Akira is incredible, and I love it, and I'll defend it and all of that. But it does, like, it is a very, like, the style is predominant, and then I would put the structure under it. I don't think there's anyone out there being like, well, with Akira, it's really the structure and the styles, and no, it's a very stylized movie. Here, I feel like the style and structure are a more even footing, and they're both elevated, and they both help each other out, and that can be hard to do sometimes, and it's something that Miyazaki doesn't always do. I would say, like, I'm not trying to pick on Kiki's Delivery Service and like My Neighbor Totoro and some of those movies, because I also love those, but I would say that there are some movies like that he's done that you are there to experience a beautiful Miyazaki film, and like it'll meander a little bit, or you'll stay maybe a little too long. I think particularly like My Neighbor Totoro, in just enjoying the atmosphere and letting it sort of like wash over you. And that is great. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying here, it's very style, structure, I think, are even footing.
Hell yeah, that's well said, and I appreciate that. You're right, man. Like Akira, as much as I love it, it's mostly about how that looks, the vibe and the feel and the flow of just the visuals of it, right? It's like a transcendent kind of experience or something like that. But this movie is really more solid, I think, man. But I still think I like Akira better, but that's just a personal thing. But let's switch over to the music real quick. The music is done by, correct me here, John, but it's Joe Hisaishi. Hisaishi. Okay. He does a lot of the Miyazaki films, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's his like go-to dude.
So I'm not super familiar with the entirety of his work, right? So I can't compare it to things like that, but I will say that the music in this film is fucking amazing. It feels like it's elevated. I feel like every element of this film is elevated. And I'm not the Miyazaki expert. I haven't seen all of his other films, but I feel like this is like everybody is like on their A+ game here. It was just a magical moment where there was a story to tell and people that were so passionate about it. I think that shows in the music. The music is moving, y'all. If you listen to it on its own, and you can, listen to it at the gym. Next time you're at the gym, put it on. I guarantee you're going to be like, what the fuck? It's powerful. It's sad. There are moments of it that I felt like they were being synthy, but it's just this deep brass, right? It is powerful. It is moving. It is beyond atmospheric into the realm of a character in and of itself in this film. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the music?
Yeah, I love the soundtrack. Like, it is, like I said earlier, it's very cinematic. Like, this feels like it could be like, a soundtrack to like, a big budget fantasy movie, like a live action one. It's like, I think it does well with complementing the settings. Like, when you're in the forest, you get the music that feels like, foresty or natural. When you're in Irontown, you get a different vibe. Like, the music does it, it fills in the gaps perfectly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I feel like, I also could enjoy it, on its own, outside the movie, because, it does have a very, like, it has that kind of classical feel, like, that you could just like, it would be good for like background, like, if you're studying or something, this would be like a good soundtrack to have on to like, just keep you stimulated without like, distracting you.
You know, back in the day, they would be like, we're doing Handel's this portion of the Messiah, we're doing Mozart's blah blah blah, or Beethoven's whatever, and people are like, classical music's kind of dead, and like nobody listens to it but old heads, right? No, we all listen to it in film, like this is something that like
Our fucking Looney Tunes were fucking
it's been
saturated with it.
And I'm sure it's been done where people like there were orchestras that symphonies that like do Miyazaki movie scores and shit like that. Like it's a thing that happens in our own like it's a thing. People still go, classical music is still alive. Now we just it's cinema is a big part of it in a way, if that makes sense. Anyway, like I'd pay good money to go see, I don't know, like Hans Zimmer doing it, like the best hits of his scores and shit like that, right? That would be fucking dope as shit. That'd be great. Jelani, what do you think about the music in the film?
I love it. It is. I think it's muted in this film, which I enjoy, but it's there. Like it's always a subtle presence. It works well. It's cinematic, not cinematic. It's what is it? Not theatric. I guess it would be theatric in points where you're just like, wow, that one. It's bruh.
Yeah,
it comes at you. Like when it needs.
It feels like the music in a Kurosawa film, just more like developed out, right?
Yeah.
More full or something.
Yeah, it's sure thematic. Like you're right, it could be. I don't know. It's something. It's gorgeous, and it's overpowering when it needs to be, and it's muted when it needs to be. And it's surprising that it's able to balance between the two so much in this film. It's just it's always there, but it's not annoying. It's not insisting upon itself. There, and I'm done.
Hell yeah, I like that. It's not insisting upon itself. I like it. I do think it sticks out though, but not in the wrongest way. By the way, Link, I'm here for your heel turn as well, bro. We should form a new faction, Link. Me and you. We're Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. Anyway, what about you, Fable? What do you think about the music in the film?
Yeah, I can't add too much to that. It's fantastic. It's grand. It's sweeping. It's epic. It fits the boy on an adventure kind of thing. Like Jelani said, it's subtle when it needs to be. It's loud when it needs to be. It fits the moments of emotion when you need to feel those emotions. It gives you that sense of urgency. When everything's going down. So no, it's really good. It's not much to say. It's fantastic, just like the film.
Hell yeah. What about you, Hammer Time Whole Shoe, man? I know you got thoughts on the music.
I love it, man. The music's amazing. I'm going to say he's one of those. There's some, I'm not going to bring up a particular name, but there are some American composers who do a lot of American films who I like, but some of their music is definitely, they have films that definitely sound very similar. I'm like, oh, that's clearly blah, blah, blah.
You're talking about John Williams.
I was actually...
Are you talking about Danny Elfman? Who are you talking about?
Danny Elfman, actually, but I wasn't going to bring that up. I feel like his stuff differs enough between his different Miyazaki films he's done, and also be very like poignant, like working for the movie, being beautiful and done very well. And there's no exception. This movie it sounds amazing. It works exceptionally well, and he's a great composer. I mean, he's amazing. And the movie is better for it because it's a good. The animation is beautiful. The story is beautiful. The characters have depth, but the soundtrack works so exceptionally well that and I think I'm happy him and Miyazaki have a good relationship because he's done some fantastic stuff.
Hell yeah. Ouroboros, nobody picked Ghost in the Shell.
I was tempted to, but then like nobody was doing Miyazaki, so I was like, I'll do this one.
Yeah, that was going to be Brooks's pick, and then he changed it to this one. So there is that. So it was almost on here, and then Jelani decided to fuck everything up and go with Ninja Scroll. But you know what? I'm very excited for that. We'll see what happens.
No, you're not.
No, I am. Honestly, I am because real quick, I rented it from David's shop, right? And he goes, of course I got Ninja Scroll. That movie's badass. It's like, is it? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I remember hating it. He's like, dude, it's so badass, dude. You're gonna love it.
How the hell do you not like Ninja Scroll?
Yeah,
it was like one of the first animes I ever watched, man. It was one of the first animes I ever watched, man. I think
Right?
I was just
Who
against
gives a shit? It was awesome then. The first time I saw it, I was like, "Fuck yeah, I watched this again."
Yeah, me
It was
too.
one of the first anime
I'm
I
gonna
ever
watch
watched
it with
twice in
open
a row.
eyes next week, man. Don't get
And
angry
guess
at me
what?
already.
Watch
Okay?
it with eyes unclouded
No,
by hate.
one more thing.
That's what I'm.
Vampire Hunter D is the fucking shit. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I will watch it with eyes
your life
unclouded by
We
hate.
probably should have done anime. Should have been 2 months, and there's some other films we should have done.
We
like
should have
those-
done all Cruise Choice anime.
Yeah,
to
we
be
should have done
honest.
Howl's Moving Castle. We should have done some other films. That's just the end of it. We'll do those.
I mean,
eventually.
honestly, we should have done the whole thing, the whole goddamn 2 months with this, but we didn't. Anyway, Joe, what do you think about the
You
music?
say
Any
that
thoughts?
like it was like other people vetoed your channel or something.
Yeah, this is bullshit.
It came from the guy upstairs. Robbie couldn't control it.
Well, John's the one that said we should do anime, and I was like, well, that coincides with Cruise Choice, so yeah, we should split it up. Yeah, it was my fault. It was my call. I'm sorry. You're right, Joe.
Jesus.
Oh my god! You
Everybody
just say that.
I
'cause
made
we're gonna make you
everybody
watch,
suffer
like, a-
through Tom Cruise movies last summer. So
Yeah.
like,
No, that was rough. Why did you do that to us? Like we're friends.
that was John's idea. That was John's
It's
idea.
really funny. It was a funny pun. And
Don't worry,
It's
next year it's
funny
all
until
Terry.
you have to watch 20 hours of Tom Cruise.
we're doing it
movies.
again next year, but it's all Terry Crews.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's Terry Crews next year.
I'm not doing white chicks, guys. I'm not doing it.
We could.
You say
Anyway,
that
Joe,
now.
thoughts about the music?
Oh right, we're talking about Prince of Mononoke. Yeah, the music's incredible. One of my favorite parts, since there's not a lot I can add other than the music's really good. Towards the end, during the assassination of the forest god, where the music gets really weird. And for me, it really symbolizes this whole notion of like, this is new territory. We don't know what's happening. This is something new. And to do that through the music, in addition to showing it and to not really hint at it earlier, like this is just completely new territory, I thought was really incredible and one of the standouts for me with the soundtrack.
Hell yeah. All right, now it's time to dive a little bit deeper into the film. This film has a lot of themes, a lot of layers, a lot of meaning, but I'm curious what it means to you personally. Brooks, why don't you kick us off here? What's this movie saying to you?
Well, I think like a big thing that this movie touched on is like the complexity of things we take as simple, like the conflict between good and evil, because if you look at it in the simplest terms, it's like man versus nature in this movie, but that's not necessarily true because there's a faction of mankind that works with nature, and there's a faction of mankind that works against nature, and then there's another faction of mankind that's working against that other faction. And even like the creatures in nature, like nature isn't like this harmonious thing. There's conflict there too. Like the wolves, they respect the boars, but in the end they're like fuck those guys. They're not like us. They're not cool like us. Right. But yeah, it's like this idea like things aren't black and white, and like these opposing forces. It isn't about who's right or who's wrong. It's just like it's the way. It's just about the flow. And like I like the idea like when it comes to like environmental stuff, like environmentalism, like it kind of there's kind of this thing that's happened where like people kind of perceive it as oh, we are killing the planet, like as if us, our tiny little human, like we can destroy this planet, which we can't, like we can ruin it for ourselves. We can make it so it's uninhabitable for us, but the planet and nature will always eventually like cover us up, like eventually, like we're all going to be like, bones, like rotting in the earth.
We're a part of nature.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Like right, and we forget that.
That's why, like when she kills the king of the forest, it doesn't kill him. Like he just goes nuts because like we can't kill nature. We can only like affect it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. That's very profound.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jelani? Follow that up.
I can't. I'm good. Pass. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm kidding.
Don't you dare disappoint me.
Man, you already said it pretty much. It's like it's a subtle shade of gray, and that's how life is anyway. It will always be, yeah, like Link says, a hierarchy of nature. It's darkness and light, but at the same time, that bit of gray still stands, and it's how you're willing to interpret it. Asataka was protecting his clan, he was protecting his family, and he still ended up being shunned from it. And he has to go out into the world and work on his own. San is being raised by literal wolves, and she is the main protector of the forest. At the same time, she is conflicted with loving humans or hating them. Ishibani is she's trying to create. Is that her name? I can't remember. I think it's Ishibani. She's trying to.
Boshi?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lady Eboshi.
Lady Eboshi. There we go. I'm sorry. I don't remember their names. She's trying to create this town, but at the same time, she's trying to destroy a spirit. She thinks she can kill a god and move it forward. There's so many characters that are just in that gray area, that are just in that fog, and it takes all of them clashing to finally get clarity on that gray and what it means to be that person. That's what this movie is. It's so much in it for, like I said, it's not good and evil. It's not black and white. It is always the shade of gray, and how it is interpreted from all factions.
Fuck yeah, dude. I am proud of you, and I'm sure Brooks is as well.
Yeah.
Fable, not so much, but Fable, what do you think this movie is speaking to you?
Thanks. I take like the old ways or the old world versus the new ways, tradition versus progress, industrialization, stuff like that. The old world, like Joe said, has a hierarchy, and it kind of destroys them in a lot of ways, right? It makes them stubborn, and they detest the humans for not having a regard or respect for their traditions or the way things they feel it should go. But they should actually be learning from the humans, right, to progress forward. And at the same time, the humans, they totally disregard the old ways, and they should learn how to kind of respect the old ways. It would help enhance their progress and going forward. So they have to kind of meet in the middle in a lot of ways. It's about, what's his name? Ashitaki. He's the main guy that says we should all learn how to get along. Like,
Dr. Manhattan. Just say Dr. Manhattan.
Why are you guys all fighting? You know what I mean? He's trying to help all three sides of everything, because he understands that there's a balance. And that's why I you said it's a lot like Akira, but after seeing Your Name, I feel like it's a lot like Your Name, because I think Your Name has that same kind of theme flowing through it, where it's like the tradition and old ways and the new ways, and the ways those things can meet and combine in the middle, and form a bridge. It doesn't have to be a gap there. So yeah, that's what I get from it.
And one interesting thing, and I love what you said, because I think you're 100% right, and like perfectly just on the nose there. But like, one of the things in the movie is that when the spirit of the forest gets beheaded, yeah, it does find its head, but they specifically say in the movie, like, the forest is like not what it once was. Now it's up to y'all. It's almost like a passing of the old ways to the new. Good luck with this new, like, fast moving industrial kind of thing, right? Like, we're doing Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, in November. I've already started some of my research, man. And Two Towers is very much about like this same kind of thing, right? Like industrialization and nature and all that kind of shit, right? But
Sauron.
It almost feels like the torch gets passed at the end of this film, right? Because they're like, yeah, it's the same mountain, but it's not quite as magical anymore because y'all ruined it. But now hopefully you understand the balance that nature provides. Like there's a very striking moment where the dude who's throughout the movie, but this one guy looks and he goes, I didn't know this, the forest spirit made the flowers grow or some shit like that. Right. Like that's a pretty fucking powerful moment in that movie, man, where you're like, yeah, that's the point. None of y'all got it. Right. And now you fucked it up. And so good luck with it. But like, yeah, it does deal with that old versus new tradition and progress in a way. What about you, Hammer Time? What do you think this movie's saying to you?
Well, really, and I think Brooks had mentioned it, the whole like nature and everything. But there's a difference between like being respectful of nature and just destroying things. Look at like some cultures will hunt, but they'll use like the carcass. They'll use everything. You know what I'm saying? They won't waste. There's a difference between going out and fishing and taking what you want and then fishing with dynamite. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, all these fish, you'll get these fish, but look at all the destruction you're doing. So
it's the difference between survival and exploitation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be a difference. And I think they touch on that because it's definitely, you know, I think you can have progress without destroying everything around you. You have to be more, I don't know, work with your surroundings because there won't be surroundings. So I don't know. There's definitely, it touches on the whole nature and not destroying your environment and being destructive. And again, you're right. The future was the ironworks and firearms, unfortunately, and that was a big part of the transition between like the samurai and the modern world. I mean, firearms kind of changed things dramatically. When you're chasing somebody with a sword and you have a gun, you know, you've seen Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that whole thing, and there's nothing wrong with progress, but at the same time, just be respectful of your surroundings and for nature and all that. And I think that's because I recycle. I don't know about you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
In Huntsville, Alabama, it's not easy to recycle in Huntsville, Alabama.
Well, it's like,
no, it's not.
It's like the modern world today, right? Where we live in, where we're mining these crude oils and we're doing all this stuff when we've already discovered other ways to power things, right? We don't really necessarily need to rely on certain things, but there's so much money and bullshit tied into it, like exploitation, like Robbie said, that you know, we can't get out of that so easily. But there's a way we could work with nature and still power our fucking toys and shit, you know?
Yeah, yeah, there's a way to do that. And Link is pointing out that Last Samurai has the same theme, and that is a Tom Cruise movie. So like
not that good. It was really not good.
But no, one of the things, like especially tied in what Fable and Holshoe were talking about is there is a way to do that, but this movie almost has a sadness to its ending, where I think it's like, yep, you killed the forest god. He's alive. This forest will still grow, but it's not going to be quite as magical as it was because of what you, as a community, as a species, have chosen to do. You now have the reins. Good luck, right? Like, I don't know. It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of sad the way it ends, just a little bit. Like the magic has died, right? I don't know. Legend should have had a dark ending like that, I think. What about you, Joe? What do you think the movie's saying? What's it saying to you?
You know, obviously people already mentioned, and it's very clearly there, the environmentalism, the tradition versus progress. But I'll add that something else throughout the movie is, to paraphrase, a saying you sort of hear every now and then of, if both sides hate you, you're right, or you're onto something. And this movie is very much, Ashitaka is just very much, all he's trying to do is the right thing. And he's not welcome in his home. He is hated by San and the dire wolves. He's hated by the apes. He's hated by the boars. He's hated by Irontown. He's hated by the samurai. He's hated by, Billy Bob Thornton. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But
not a good time for him.
No, it's not a good time for him, but it goes into the reasons for that and you hear it, and there's some dialogue that specifically, brings it up with like people in Irontown and Sun and all of that of, they're questioning that. It's always, I don't trust you because you're not working for my best interest. What you're doing might kind of help someone else, and I can't let you do that. And that's so much of it, when he's the one who's out there, who's like, he's getting shot for trying to not let two people kill each other, like, things like that, like, just throughout the whole movie, like, I'm saving my town, I'm not welcome here, I'm just trying to save the forest god, and now everyone's dying, getting killed, even though I was trying to save Irontown and Lady Eboshi told me to fuck myself. Like, all of these sort of things that just keep happening. And I'm just trying to help Irontown, and these samurai are following me, and they're going to kill me. They so I had this little piece of gold, people are going to try to follow me and kill, like, all of this. So, like, there is this sort of theme throughout of if both sides hate you, you're right. And I think that kind of sums up his character, really.
Hell yeah. I think you have all nailed it tonight. I agree with everything everybody said. But the one thing I'll add is this. To me, what the movie is saying is not everything or everybody is one thing, right?
Yeah.
I love the idea of, let's take the perspective and switch it to any of these characters, right? Let's switch it to the Lady Eboshi. Let's stick it to put it over to San. Any of these other characters are the villain, right? The perspective, the way it works, right? And I think this movie is so good at pointing out this. And I love what you said, Joe, about how if both sides hate you, you're doing something right, right? But what I love about it is that every character in this movie, like, who's the villain? We were talking about that earlier. There is no real villain, I feel, in this movie, because even the Billy Bob Thornton character, right, has a positive side and a negative side. They all have that. San, the the wolf child protector of the forest, is also bloodthirsty, right, and warmongering and not understanding of other people's perspective. And there's so many people. What I love about this movie is that all of the factions are in the right, and they're also in the wrong. And I think that nuance is something that's really important. And I think this is a big anti-war film, right? And war starts with hatred and distrust of the other, right? And this lets us know that the other, for as evil as we may think they are, they see us the same way, but at the same time, we're all flawed. And that's what I love. What I love about this movie is not everybody is one thing. Lady Eboshi, right? Okay, she killed this fucking forest boar spirit. She's not, lamenting it. She's proud of it, right? She deserves to die. But at the same time, she's like super protective of these former sex workers and these lepers, right? And she's built a society that is led in a way that's more freeing than other societies at the time in feudal Japan. That's interesting. That's a character that's not just one-dimensional or two-dimensional. That's a multifaceted character. And this whole movie is filled with it. And I just think that the point of this is everybody is like that. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Donald Trump is a multifaceted fucking gem of a human being that we all need to fucking really study. That's not what I'm saying. But maybe somebody across the aisle or somebody across the lawn has more facets than we realize, no matter what side you're on. There's more than one. There's more than two sides. There's more perspectives than just yours and the others. And I think this movie is talking about that. Anyway, that being said, time to rate this motherfucking film. Out of 5 possible you digs, you out there in the chat, what do you rate Princess Mononoke Brooks, it was your pick. You kick us off tonight.
Well, if I'm going to be discerning,
God damn it.
God, this is 5. Like, this is a great movie. Like, I love it. Like, and like, I'm surprised that I haven't revisited it in such a long time. Like, because, I do remember enjoying it a whole lot. And like, I really enjoyed it on this rewatch too. Like, it holds up. Like, it's a timeless movie. And I think it's that simplicity of this kind of like, it being like just kind of like almost a fable, but with like, but with so many facets, and which makes it so like interesting. It's like it's a movie that it doesn't feel dated at all. Like it feels like a movie that you can just sit down to. And that's kind of like how a lot of the Disney Renaissance movies were like. It was like you can go back and enjoy like you can watch Beauty and the Beast again, or The Little Mermaid, or Aladdin, or something, and you can still enjoy it. And like this movie is like that as well. I think it's a movie that would be like I think it'd be a good movie to watch your kids with, even with all of the arrow decapitations and limb severings and such. Like if your kids are tough enough to deal with that kind of shit, I think they'd really like this movie. So yeah, it's just like it's a movie for all seasons, I guess.
Hell yeah, I like that, man. A perfect score from Brooks. We got perfect scores coming through in the chat right now. What about you, Jelani?
Yeah, this is a 5. It has a cultural impact too. It's one of those films that a lot of people still pull up. Like even if you Google this movie, it's one of the first few the sections that pop up. Like it's that good. It is awesome on so many levels. The CG is minimal to the point where it works with the story. The story is fantastic. The writing is beautiful. This is probably the 5th time I've seen it. Yeah, so I've seen it enough. I watched it in the theater. I've watched it on VHS. I think I watched it on DVD one other time, and then I watched it streaming, and it still holds up every time. It's still clean. I still love it. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. So definitely a 5.
Hell yeah, perfect score is 2 for 2 so far. What about you, Fable?
Yeah, I mean this is just an enjoyable film at its core, right? It's just a great adventure film. It's a great animated film, right? But on top of being just like having such cool fantasy elements or some good action, some good adventure, it also has a lot of themes and as a message being told here. So you can look at it superficially and enjoy it, or you can go down the layers or whatever, you know what I mean, and peel away and get a bunch of messages and themes out of it, which is like more than any cartoon has any right doing. Right? Like a lot of those should just be cool animated features, but this is more than that. This is really well done, with a great script, great cast, great characters. So yeah, it can't be any less than a 5.
All right, a 5 from Fable as well. What about you, Hammer Time? What are you thinking?
5 all day, man. 5. I am jealous though of Jelani, Joe, and whoever else got to see it theatrically, because I never saw it theatrically, and I just love it. It's presented well, it holds up well, it's beautifully done, and it's a 5. And you'll see, Miyazaki doesn't miss it. Like there are films that are better than his other films. I'll give you that, or some that are more complex. But he doesn't make bad films. He's saying he's going to retire, and he hasn't yet. And when he finally does retire, then that's going to be a sad day for the anime film industry. That's for sure.
Hell yeah. Perfect scores across the board so far. What about you, Joe? What are you thinking?
Yeah, 5. I mean, and again, like, I feel like that's like most Miyazaki movies. I mean, come on. But no, this is definitely, if it's not my favorite Miyazaki, it's in my top 3. So like, yeah, I couldn't not give that, and I would probably give a 5 to almost, if not everything he did. So
hell yeah. All right. I'm going to continue the love and give it a 5. This movie is brilliant. It is layered. It is stylized. It is structured perfectly. It's got great music. It's got great performances in the English dub, my only experience with it. I want to rewatch it now with the Japanese, the original Japanese. Like, I would love to see it that way now. And
there are some differences.
Yeah, I've heard that. I want to dive more into Miyazaki's filmography. And I think Brooks does as well. And I think one of the reasons why Brooks picked this movie was to kickstart a new something in his life, bruh. You got so many movies to watch now, so many things to experience. So do we all, and to re-experience even. So yeah, 5 from everybody across the panel and the entire chat. So that's a perfect PCP score of a 5.69, dudes.
It breaks through the barrier.
It breaks through the barrier, even gets more well-reviewed than Akira, I would say. Though Akira is still so brilliant to me. Man, what great movies we've talked about.
They're on the same plateau, I think.
No shit, man. Akira, Your Name, and Princess Mononoke. How do we fucking follow that up to end anime?
I wonder how you follow it up.
It was the most badass fucking action movie from anime ever made. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not judging nothing. I'm just saying, how do we follow it up? We're following it up next week.
Follow it up with a badass movie.
With Jelani's pick, Ninja Scroll, everybody. Next week, join us here for PCP Movie Night, 8 p.m. Central Time on Monday to talk about Ninja Scroll, Jelani's pick to end anime here on PCP. It is available on Tubi if you're interested in that. Anyway, Brooks, thank you for picking this movie. Thank you for being here. Final thoughts.
Oh yeah, I was glad to share this movie with you all. I'm sure you've never seen this movie because it's so obscure. This is like my Gandahar, I guess.
Yes.
I'm kidding, of course, but yeah, me and Jelani do Go Figure Reviews. If you've heard of this growing legend that is Go Figure Reviews, and recently we worked on there was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 Black Suit Legends, which was interesting, like because it comes with the emo Toby head, which is awesome. And we also did Hurricane Hordak, which is a figure I got, of course, and he's Hordak, but he's actually kind of cool too. So
yeah,
there he is.
Look, I got a thumbnail for that one.
Yeah,
Dude, I love Hordak.
You didn't get the Spider-Man 3 yet because I haven't made it yet. In fact, I was going to make it today, but I saw Wes, so I didn't see it.
Well, it's on the way.
Wes Borland?
Huh? Yes.
Wes Anderson?
Why you want to hate? Why you want to hate Toby?
Man, emo head Spider-Man it's awesome. All we need is a suited body, and that's gold. Like all I got to do is have him dancing just everywhere. Oh yeah, bruh.
Well, Brooks, good pick, man. Thank you for being here. Jelani, final thoughts. What you got coming up, man? You a busy man.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot, man. There's a lot going on. Go Figure Reviews. Of course, we're doing Hurricane Hordak. And we are. I also made a Silver Age Superman for McFarlane. One of my favorite Supermans of all time. He's pretty cool. I love it. Also, I got this thing. It is an Adventure Force. I don't know, Robot Man. I have no clue. But you press the button in the chest. He freaking talks and does everything. This was like $10 at Walmart. I'm so impressed with it. I'm not reviewing it, of course, but I'm just impressed with this. Is just a normal thing. Why can't we have toys that do that? So I'm probably gonna do a rant video and bitch as this. Like this is a good thing for the toy industry. You need stuff like this, and you're pricing yourselves down. So yeah, check us out. Go Figure Reviews. We're close to 650 subscribe, almost 700. We're getting there. We're going to do a giveaway at 700, another one. So stay tuned for that. We're really appreciative. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Proud of you, bro. What about you, Fable, man? Lots of cooks in the kitchen. You're the head chef, man. What's going on with you?
Oh, thank you. Well, the show is on break right now. We'll be back sometime in June. So no all new, all different Blake Fable show anytime soon, but I will be on YouTube channel tomorrow called the Comic. Oh my God, the Comic Menu podcast with my boy Caesar and his crew of guys, and they'll be talking about the Superman trailer and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go hang out with those guys tomorrow night. So if you guys never heard of them, check them out. The Comic Menu. Yeah, hanging with them, and of course back next week for the end of anime with these fine gentlemen and other members of the PCP Excitable crew. And not every movie that's a 5 has to be Shakespeare. Sometimes they can just be bad ass and still be a 5. And Ninja Scroll, man.
You're getting ready for Ninja Scroll, aren't you, man? Yeah, you got
promos, shit, man. Son. I don't know what Robbie watched.
Don't worry, Link's going to be here next week too, man. I bet Link's got some thoughts, and Verno has no clue, and Verno will be watching Ninja Scroll, and I hope he watches it twice.
He'll watch it twice.
It's going to be a good panel next week. Hammer time. This was your idea, Anime. It's been fun. We should have done it for 2 months. That's your fault, not mine. And
well, then it doesn't work. It's not June. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, it's
June animation.
Yeah. Oh, damn it.
Anyway,
we got a writer sitting right there.
John, it's always good to have you here. This makes me feel like it's old school. We're PCPing back in 2015, 10 years ago. By the way, it's the year of PCPX. And if you ain't down with PCPX, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. Come on, y'all. Let's do it.
Bro, your eyes are so clouded by hate right now. Look at you, dog.
John, final thoughts, my man.
If you haven't seen this movie, go see it. If you like this movie, go see other Miyazaki films or watch. There's some. I think there's some people who are like, "Oh, it's animated." I'm not talking about Miyazaki. I'm talking in general. Like I can't watch that because I was talking about Your Name. I was talking about, Silent Voice. These films that are amazing films, and like, oh, I'm not going to watch it if it's anime. People are really missing out on some amazing films. Go check out some of the films we've talked about, or some of the other. There's a lot of great anime films that are award-winning or highly regarded. Just go scope them out and check them out. And if you don't like them, you're out, a little bit of time, man. A little bit of time.
Hell yeah. What about you, Joe, man? Final thoughts? I know you got some exciting stuff coming up.
I do. The Green Hornet Miss Fury #5 just came out like last week. So that wraps the series there, and we're working on getting the trade ready. So if you missed out on the series, the trade will be there. Check it out, especially for Federico Ceresa's art. I don't know what he's working on next, but I know multiple publishers are talking to him. He's gonna be there. He's probably gonna be at the big 2 in the next couple of years. Like, just get in on the ground floor so you can say you did. This is his first professional published work, and you're going to be seeing more of him for like the next decade. So you might as well get in now.
I will attest to that. The art is fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's great. And I have King Arthur and the Knights of Justice Volume 2, Morgana's Revenge. She's back, and what does she want? Revenge. So that'll be June 17th. And if you haven't checked out or read the first volume, you got some time. Check it out. You can get them digitally right through Mad Cave's website. You can pre-order through them. If you're at ALA in Philly at the end of June, I will be there promoting those books. So feel free to come by, say hi. I'll be doing a lot of stuff with Mad Cave, particularly like Saturday and Sunday of that show. I have a story in Young Men in Love Volume 2. It's like a gay Toy Story thing. That's out in like a few weeks. I think that comes out first week of June. That's through Wave Blue World. It's a story that Chase Bluestone and I did, and we're going to be launching a crowdfunding campaign pretty soon for a one-shot we've been tinkering around with. So keep your eyes out for that as well.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to the panel. This has been a great show. Join us next week for Ninja Scroll here on PCP Movie Night as we wrap up anime. And And to get into a proper cruise choice, we got some great picks in June, including Joe's obscure pick of Children of Paradise. Good luck finding that one, everybody. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. So
yeah,
anyway.
it's a 3-hour French movie, and I think we're all going to love it, damn it.
Thank you.
Yeah, 3 hours. Oh.
Appreciate it, man.
Fable goes, I want to be on all of them. I'm like, okay. Okay. No, Joe usually has Gandahar. Gandahar's a good movie, though, man. Gandahar's a great movie. So
I love that one.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
That's great.
So Joe picks, but they're the most fucking obnoxious to find picks sometimes. All right, we're dipping out here. We'll catch you for Ninja Scroll next week and the rest of the PCP festivities and the PCP family and the army and all that stuff. And we love you, Station Pop Pop Boom, and suck it. Fuck off.